What if the very thing you're holding onto so tightly is the one thing keeping you from peace? Let that question hang in the air for a moment. Let it sink in, not as a distant thought, but as something personal, something that stirs a deep feeling within. Now take a deep breath, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what would happen if I simply let go? What if releasing control over the things that weigh on your heart? Your job, your relationships, your fears, was the very key to unlocking the inner freedom you've been longing for. The future you're endlessly planning for the past. You can't seem to move beyond the constant spiral of worries about how everything will turn out. What if these thoughts, this tight grip you have on the things you can't control, is actually what's causing you the most suffering? We all face this battle, don't we? The fight to keep everything in its place, to hold everything together, to shape every relationship, every situation, every outcome to fit our idea of how things should be. We convince ourselves that if we just hold on a little tighter, if we can just manage it all, then nothing will fall apart. But what if the tighter we hold, the more we're breaking ourselves down? What if in the very struggle to control, we are only creating more chaos, more stress, and more confusion? Life moves, it flows, and yet we hold on, afraid to let go, afraid to lose what we think we can't live without. What if the very attachment that feels like safety is actually the anchor that's holding us down? What if in all this control we are missing the greatest truth of all? Peace isn't found in control, it's found in trust. Trust that things will unfold. Trust that sometimes the very thing we're trying to hold on to isn't meant for us. Trust that the more we let go, the more life can flow in ways we couldn't have planned, and the more freedom we'll feel. This is where the true freedom begins, in the release. The question isn't just, what would happen if you let go? It's what would happen if you finally allowed yourself to be free. Stick with me as we explore this profound shift. How releasing the things that no longer serve you is not a loss, but the gate. At some point in our lives, we all wrestle with the need to control. It starts innocently enough, a desire to steer things in the right direction, to prevent chaos, to make sure everything unfolds according to our plans. Whether it's our career, our relationships, or our emotions, we grip tightly to the reins, hoping that if we just manage every detail, life will fall into place. But here's the wild truth. The more we try to control, the more we lose control. We live in a world that glorifies control. From the moment we wake up, our minds are already working overtime, planning, strategizing, and predicting what's to come. We think that by managing everything, by micromanaging our days, controlling how others perceive us, how things unfold, we'll somehow find peace, stability, and happiness. It's as if the tighter we hold on, the more we believe we're keeping everything in line. But the truth, the tighter we grip, the more we tighten the chains of our own anxiety and fear. Control is seductive. It promises us safety, security, and comfort. It whispers that if we just make the right choices, follow the perfect steps, everything will turn out just the way we want. But in reality, the more we try to dominate every outcome, the more we distance ourselves from true peace. Our thoughts become clouds of worry swirling uncontrollably around the things we can't control, our futures, our loved ones, our decisions. The mind, much like a storm, becomes a violent, unpredictable force that we cannot seem to calm. The illusion of control is a beast we all face. We hold on to it, believing it's the solution. We think that if we can just hold the wheel tight enough, the storm will settle. But in truth, we're only pushing ourselves further into the storm's eye. The more we grasp, the more the peace slips further away. Take a moment to reflect on this. How many times have you tried to control something that was simply beyond your reach? A relationship, a career decision, a moment in time. You believed that if you just managed it perfectly, everything would fall into place. But instead, it only brought more stress, more doubt, and more frustration. The very act of holding on can feel like a tug of war between what you want and what you fear. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a CEO, a driven, ambitious leader who works tirelessly to make sure every detail of their company runs smoothly. They obsess over every email, every report, every conversation. Every decision, no matter how small, feels like a matter of life and death. They micromanage their employees, constantly pushing them to do better, to be better. It's a relentless cycle of control. But as they tighten their grip, what happens instead of success and peace? They spiral into exhaustion. The harder they work, the less they find peace, not in their work, not in their personal life. The pressure builds, and burnout looms on the horizon. In their pursuit of perfection, they lose the joy they once found in their career and the meaningful connections they had with their loved ones. In their effort to control the company, they lose themselves. This is the paradox we all face. We think that if we just manage, just control, everything will be okay. But the more we push, the further we move away from what we truly need: inner peace, calm, and connection. Think about your own life for a moment. How often do you find yourself controlling situations, fearing that if you stop holding on, everything will fall apart? We've all been there. The need to hold tight to everything can feel overwhelming, whether it's trying to control the future or fixing things in the present. It feels as though if we let go, the very foundation beneath us will crumble. But this is the illusion, the belief that holding on is what keeps us safe. The truth, though, is that in surrender there is power. In letting go, there is freedom. You see, control is an act of fear. Fear of what could happen, fear of the unknown, fear of losing something important. But surrender is an act of trust. It's not about giving up. It's about recognizing that not everything is ours to manage. And in that recognition, we discover that life in all its chaos unfolds more beautifully when we stop trying to control it. As the Buddha once taught, attachment is the root of suffering. What we cling to, our need for control, our desire to define everything, binds us to suffering. The more tightly we hold on to what we cannot change, the more we imprison ourselves in fear and stress. But when we let go, when we release that grip, we free ourselves from the chains that bind us to our anxiety. We create space for peace, for clarity, for the flow of life, to move through us without resistance. I want to share another story, one that might hit closer to home for many of us. Picture a mother who has spent her entire life raising her children, ensuring they follow a certain path. She believes that if she can just guide them, protect them, and make every decision for them, they will succeed, be happy, and live fulfilling lives. She holds on tightly, not wanting to let go, afraid that if she steps back, even for a moment, things will fall apart. But over time, her children start to resist. They feel suffocated by her constant need to control every aspect of their lives. They begin to distance themselves emotionally, seeking their own paths, their own identities. The mother, desperate to maintain control, doesn't see it. Her attempts to shield them from mistakes only push them further away. Eventually, she realizes that her efforts to control were not about love, but about her own fear of letting go. Her peace was bound to their success, to their happiness, to their every move. In trying to control, she missed the deeper truth: love doesn't control. Love frees. This is where we find the real struggle between control and surrender. Surrender is not about resignation or apathy. It's about letting go of the need to force outcomes to dictate every detail and trusting that life will unfold as it should. It's about stepping back, releasing the need for certainty, and allowing space for things to evolve naturally. The storm of control can rage in our minds, but when we stop clinging to our desire to micromanage every moment, the storm settles. The mind becomes clearer. The grip on fear loosens. In the quiet spaces between our breaths, we begin to realize something crucial. We don't have to hold everything in place. Life can still thrive, even in the unknown. This, my friends, is the first step to freedom. It's not about abandoning responsibility or giving up on dreams. It's about recognizing that we are not the puppeteers of life, but participants in the beautiful, unpredictable dance of existence. And the more we surrender control, the more we align ourselves with the natural rhythm of life, a rhythm that is far more peaceful, far more fulfilling than we could ever imagine when we are stuck in the endless cycle of trying to control everything around us. Let go, and the peace you seek will not be far behind. It may take time, but the journey from control to surrender is the path that leads us home to ourselves, to others, and to the freedom that only comes when we stop trying to force life into our own narrow vision. The more we hold on, the more we bind ourselves. Now let's turn our attention to something profound, something that might seem counterintuitive. At first, the wisdom of letting go. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a powerful teaching called non-attachment. At first glance, non-attachment might sound like apathy or disengagement, like we're supposed to turn away from life and its challenges. But that's not the case at all. Non-attachment is not about detaching from life. It's about releasing our grip on it in ways that restrict our peace. What does that mean? It means we stop clinging so desperately to the outcomes, the expectations, and the illusions of control. We stop trying to force life to bend to our will. And in that release, we find something far more powerful than anything we could have imagined: true peace, clarity, and strength. Let's take a moment to reflect. Think about all the things you've been holding on to, the plans you've made, the future you've imagined, the relationships you're trying to control. Think about the pressure, the anxiety, the constant worry that comes with trying to manage it all. Now, what if I told you that letting go could bring you peace instead of chaos? Imagine for a moment the metaphor of a kite. Picture it soaring high in the sky, dancing in the wind. The more you pull on the string, the more the kite descends. It pulls against the very forces that make it rise. But when you release the string, when you stop pulling so tightly, the kite rises, carried effortlessly by the wind. Letting go allows us to rise, not fall. The kite is free when we stop holding it down, and so are we. This concept is so beautifully simple, yet it's something we resist. We think that if we don't control every part of our lives, everything will fall apart. But what if by loosening our grip, we could allow life to unfold in a way that's far more graceful, far more natural, and far more beautiful than we could ever force? Letting go isn't about giving up It's not about running away from responsibility or abandoning our commitments. It's about releasing the tight grip we have on the outcome. It's about accepting that life will happen, whether we are trying to control every detail or not. And when we allow it to happen, when we trust that life will unfold as it's meant to, we find ourselves standing in a place of peace, no longer bound by the weight of fear and expectation. There's a story I want to share with you, a real story that captures the essence of this principle. Imagine someone who's been trapped in a controlling relationship for years. The relationship is built on fear of loss, fear of change, fear of not being loved. They believe that if they don't manage every aspect of their partner's life, if they don't micromanage every decision, they will lose them. They try to control everything: their partner's actions, their emotions, even their thoughts, because they're terrified of what might happen if they don't. This fear of losing control becomes suffocating. The more they try to control, the more the relationship feels strained, like a rope stretched too tight. There's no space for freedom, no room for love to flow naturally. The connection grows weaker, not stronger, because love cannot thrive in a space where control dominates. But then, something shifts. The person begins to realize that they can't keep holding on like this. They start to let go just a little at first, letting go of the constant need to manage their partner's life, letting go of the fear that everything will fall apart. They begin to trust in the love they share, trust that their partner is capable of making their own choices, and trust that the relationship will thrive if they allow it to evolve naturally. And here's the most powerful part: the relationship transforms. It deepens. The act of surrendering control allows both partners to breathe, to grow, and to love more fully. Instead of feeling suffocated, they now feel free to be themselves. And in that freedom, they find that the connection is stronger than ever before. This is the power of letting go. It's not weakness, it's trust. Trust in life's unfolding trust that everything will work out as it should. Trust that the universe has a plan far greater than what we could ever impose with our limited vision. Think about your own life. What are you holding on to right now that's causing you stress, worry, or frustration? What are you trying to control that perhaps you don't need to control? It could be your career, a relationship, or even your own emotions. What would happen if you loosened your grip just a little? We often think that letting go means losing control, losing security, losing something we value. But the truth is, letting go doesn't mean losing anything at all. It means gaining everything. When we let go of the need to control, we free ourselves from fear and anxiety, and we open ourselves up to receive what's meant for us. Life in all its beauty and complexity begins to flow naturally when we stop trying to force it. So let's return to the concept of non-attachment. In Buddhism, non-attachment isn't about abandoning your responsibilities or becoming indifferent to life. It's about not clinging to things in ways that weigh us down and prevent us from experiencing peace. It's about releasing our fear of what might happen and embracing the trust that everything is unfolding in perfect timing. True strength comes not from holding on tightly to what we think we can control, but from the courage to release, to surrender, and to trust. This isn't just an abstract concept. It's something you can practice in your everyday life. You don't need to make drastic changes right away, but consider taking small steps, toward releasing control in areas where you feel stressed or overwhelmed. Start by accepting that you don't need to control everything. Trust that life will unfold, and when you stop resisting, you'll find that you can move more freely, more gracefully through it all. When we stop controlling, we make space for something deeper, the trust that life in all its wildness and unpredictability is exactly how it's meant to be. And in that trust, we find the peace we've been searching for all along. Letting go isn't about weakness. It's about opening our hands, allowing life to flow and discovering the incredible. Have you ever found yourself spiraling in your thoughts, unable to break free from the endless loop of what-ifs, maybes, and if-onlys? Have you ever felt the weight of overthinking, so heavy, so paralyzing, that it feels like you're drowning in your own mind? We've all been there. Overthinking is a trap. It disguises itself as productive problem-solving, but in truth it clouds our judgment, distorts our reality, and keeps us stuck in a place of indecision and unnecessary stress. It starts innocently enough. We think that by thinking more, by planning every detail, anticipating every outcome, and considering every possible scenario, we will somehow be prepared. We convince ourselves that the more we analyze, the clearer the path will become. But instead we get tangled in our thoughts, stuck in a loop of second-guessing and self-doubt. The more we try to predict every future possibility, the more confused we become. Imagine for a moment the life of an entrepreneur driven by passion, but held back by the fear of making the wrong choice. They've got a vision, a dream, a product to launch, but the weight of decisions feels suffocating. Should they enter this new market? Should they launch this new product? What if they fail? What if the market shifts? They pour hours into research, analyzing data until it's no longer data. It's a maze of conflicting information. They second-guess every instinct, every idea, paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong decision. And in the process, they miss opportunities. They miss the chance to act because they're stuck in the trap of overthinking. Now contrast that with someone who took a risk, someone who trusted their intuition. They didn't overanalyze, didn't drown in data. They simply made a decision, one rooted in their belief in themselves and their vision. They moved forward with confidence, not because they knew every detail, but because they trusted that even if things didn't go as planned, they could handle it. They didn't let fear of the unknown hold them back. And because they let go of the need to control every outcome, they flourished. What's the difference? The difference is in the trust. The difference is in the ability to let go of the need for certainty, to step out of the loop of overthinking and embrace action. Overthinking keeps us paralyzed. It keeps us stuck in the mind, running in circles, trying to foresee every step of the path. But here's the secret that overthinking hides from us. Clarity comes from simplicity, not complexity. Think about it. When was the last time you found peace or insight by overthinking? When was the last time hours of deliberation brought you clarity instead of confusion? The more we dig into the complexity, the harder it becomes to see the truth. The mind, like a murky pond, becomes clouded by the very act of stirring it. The more we try to control the flow of thoughts, the more we drown in them. Overthinking is like trying to solve a puzzle by staring at the pieces for hours without moving them. You can analyze, you can think, you can plan, but nothing shifts, nothing changes. And in that stillness, the opportunity to act slips away. In contrast, action is fluid. It's dynamic, it moves. When we act, we shift the energy of the situation. Even if the decision doesn't lead to the perfect result, it leads us somewhere. It shows us the next step. But overthinking locks us in place. It creates the illusion that if we just think long enough, we'll find the perfect answer. But the truth is, perfection is a moving target. The only thing overthinking guarantees is more confusion. Let's pause for a moment. Think about a time when you were caught in the grip of overthinking. What were you avoiding by staying in your mind? What decision, what choice did you refuse to make because you were too afraid of making the wrong one? Close your eyes and reflect for a moment. Feel the tension in your body, the tightness in your chest, the pressure in your mind. Can you feel the weight of it? Now take a deep breath. Release the grip. Release the need to control the outcome. Trust that whatever you choose will be the right choice for you, even if it doesn't feel perfect. Trust that you can handle what comes next. The trap of overthinking is that it keeps us from acting, from trusting ourselves, from trusting the flow of life. It makes us believe that if we just think enough, we'll find the answer. But the truth is, we can't think our way into peace. We can only act our way there. As the Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Overthinking traps us in a cycle of fear, uncertainty, and self-doubt. It leads us to believe that our thoughts define us, that the endless whirlpool of what-ifs is reality. But the truth is, we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind them. When we realize this, we free ourselves from the grip of overthinking. We free ourselves to simply be. So the next time you find yourself trapped in that loop, when the mind begins to spiral with doubt and fear, pause, breathe, let go of the need to have all the answers. Set a time limit for your decision. Trust that the information you already have is enough. And then take a step forward. Even a small step is movement. Action is the antidote to overthinking. When you act, the fog lifts. The path becomes clearer. You may not know the entire journey, but you will know the next step. And in that next step, you find momentum, clarity, and peace. Overthinking traps us in the loop of the mind, keeps us stuck in the theory of what could happen, while action frees us into the reality of what is. The decision doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be made. And when we make it, we learn, we grow, and we move forward. Here's a practical tip. Next time you find yourself in a state of overthinking, set a timer for 10 minutes. Give yourself permission to stop after that time, no matter what. You've made your decision, or at least enough progress toward it. Then act. Even if it's just a small step, take it. Let go of the need to overthink, to perfect every choice, and watch how your life starts to unfold in a simpler, more graceful way. Remember, clarity doesn't come from complexity. It comes from simplicity. And in simplicity we find peace. The next time you find yourself drowning in the endless sea of thoughts, remind yourself you already know enough. You already have enough. Trust yourself and move forward. Letting go of the need to overthink is not about abandoning your responsibility. It's about recognizing that you don't have to control every single detail. You are enough as you are. And sometimes the best thing you can do is release the need to be perfect and simply move forward. In the end, life isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting that even in the unknown, you are exactly where you need to be. As we begin to untangle ourselves from the web of overthinking, we start to realize that true clarity comes not from endless analysis, but from simply being present. The more we detach from the constant noise in our minds, the more we can connect with the world around us. But as we embrace this freedom, a new challenge emerges. How do we love without controlling? How do we support those we care about without suffocating them? Let's explore the delicate balance of loving without over-responsibility. Love, true love, the kind of love that is nourishing, freeing, and expansive. It should be a space for presence, not control. Yet how often do we find ourselves trying to fix the people we care about? How often do we try to manage their lives, protect them from hurt, or ensure they make the right choices? We love them so much that we believe we can save them, guide them through every decision, shield them from pain. But in doing so, we end up exhausting ourselves and we create distance, not closeness, in our relationships. We may not even realize we're doing it. It starts innocently enough, a desire to help, to protect, to ensure that the people we love don't make the same mistakes we did. But the truth is, love is not about fixing. It is not about imposing our views, our expectations, or our vision of what someone's life should look like. True love is about allowing. It is about creating space for the other person to grow, to stumble, and to learn on their own terms. Think about a parent who struggles to let go of their child's decisions. This parent believes that if they don't control every aspect of their child's life, their child will suffer. The parent hovers, micromanages, imposes their own opinions, and micromanages their child's every move. They don't trust that their child is capable of making decisions or learning from mistakes. In their desire to protect, they try to keep their child in a bubble of safety, their well-intentioned love, turning into a suffocating grip. But here's the painful truth: the more the parent clings, the further the relationship drifts. The child begins to feel trapped, unseen, and unheard. They start to rebel not because they don't love their parent, but because they crave independence. They need space to make their own choices, to face their own consequences, to carve their own path. And in this struggle for autonomy, the parent's love becomes a burden rather than a blessing. The more the parent tries to control, the more their love becomes a source of tension. The child feels suffocated by the constant interference, and the parent becomes frustrated, thinking that they are only trying to help. But true love isn't about owning another person's life, managing their choices, or controlling their actions. It's about presence, about allowing others to be who they are, even when it's difficult, even when it means watching them make mistakes. We do this in our relationships too. We do it with our partners, our friends, and even with ourselves. We want to fix things, solve problems, manage emotions, control outcomes. We think that if we just do enough, we can protect the people we care about from pain, disappointment, or failure. But in trying to control, we rob them of their own agency. We prevent them from discovering their strength, their resilience, and their truth. Letting go in love means supporting others without suffocating them. It means creating a space where they can breathe, where they can be themselves, even when that means they will stumble or fall. It's about trusting that they are capable of handling their own journey, even when that journey takes them down a difficult path. Love is not about ownership. It's not about trying to shape someone into what we think they should be. It's about freedom. Freedom for both the giver and the receiver. It's about recognizing that the people we love are not extensions of ourselves, but separate individuals, each with their own soul, their own desires, and their own purpose. True love liberates it, allows each person to live their truth, even if that truth doesn't always align with what we imagined for them. Consider a partner who constantly feels the need to fix the other. They see their loved one struggling, and rather than allowing space for them to process, they jump in offering solutions, advice, or fixes that are not asked for. The intention is good, they want to help, but in the process, they diminish their partner's agency, their ability to handle their own challenges. They take on responsibility that isn't theirs to carry. And in doing so, they create a dynamic where one partner feels weak and the other feels burdened. In those moments, love becomes a weight, not a gift. It becomes something that needs to be managed like a job. The more one partner tries to fix everything, the more they end up feeling exhausted and resentful, while the other partner feels incapable, disempowered, and resentful of the constant interference. Neither person feels free, and the connection between them begins to fray. True love doesn't demand control. It doesn't try to manipulate, fix, or save another person. Instead, it creates a space for the other to grow, to fail to learn, and to evolve in their own way. It's about offering your presence, your support, your care, not as a solution, but as a safe harbor where the other person can simply be. Love is not about ownership. It's about trust. Trust that the people we care about can find their way, that they don't need our control, and that they are capable of creating their own path. Letting go of the need to fix others is one of the most liberating acts of love we can offer. It doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we start respecting their ability to live their own life, their own way. It means we trust them enough to let go of the reins and step back, knowing that our love will still be there whether they succeed or fail, whether their journey looks like we imagined or not. Love is not about imposing our will. It's about allowing others the space to grow and be. True love is about trust. Trusting that the people we love will navigate their own lives, make their own decisions, and find their own way, and trusting that we will still be there for them no matter what. When we stop trying to fix the people around us, we open the door to a more authentic, vibrant love. A love where each person is free to be themselves without fear of judgment or criticism. It's a love based on freedom, the freedom to be imperfect, the freedom to fail, and the freedom to succeed on our own terms. So let go of the need to control. Let go of the belief that love means fixing, managing, or saving. Instead, embrace the freedom that comes from presence, just being there without trying to change or fix. Let your love be a force of empowerment, not constraint. And in that freedom, you'll find that your relationships become stronger, deeper, and more fulfilling than ever before. Love is about trust. Trust that the people you love can stand on their own, that they are capable, strong, and resilient. And when you let go of the need to control, you will experience so many of us live for approval. We crave it. We hunger for it. Whether it's in our work, our relationships, or even in how we look, we desperately seek validation from others. We want to hear that we are good enough, worthy enough, smart enough. And we look for it in all the wrong places, in a colleague's praise, in a partner's affection, in likes on social media. We believe that if others approve of us, then we can finally feel secure. But here's the uncomfortable truth. External validation is fleeting. It is a fragile, unpredictable thing. It's not something we can depend on to build a life of peace or fulfillment. The world, as much as we wish it were different, is full of people with differing opinions. The things we do, the choices we make, the way we express ourselves, someone will always have something to say about it. Sometimes it's uplifting. Other times it cuts deep. The opinions of others are like winds. Sometimes they blow gently in our favor. Sometimes they tear us apart. And if we allow ourselves to build our sense of self-worth on these winds, we are constantly at the mercy of their strength. We become caught in a cycle of seeking, hoping, and then crashing when that validation is absent or withdrawn. Consider for a moment the story of a famous artist. Let's call them Jane. For years, Jane created beautiful raw art, pouring her heart and soul into every brushstroke. She lived for her art, for the feeling of creation, the expression of her inner world. But as time went on, the world around her didn't seem to appreciate her work. Critics didn't care, galleries didn't feature her, and her once vibrant passion began to fade. Jane found herself constantly chasing approval, her worth tied to the opinions of critics, the applause or lack thereof from the art world. The more she sought this approval, the more her creativity shriveled. The joy of painting was lost beneath the weight of seeking external validation. Then one day, after years of struggle, Jane had a breakthrough. She let go. She let go of her need for validation from others, the need for her art to be admired and praised. She picked up her brushes once more, not for the critics, not for the galleries, but for herself. She began painting purely for the joy of creation. And in that moment, something miraculous happened. Her art once again came alive. She was no longer bound by the need to prove herself. Her work radiated with a new energy, a freedom that she hadn't felt before. And ironically, the moment she stopped living for others' approval was the moment her art gained the recognition it deserved. Her peace didn't come from validation. It came from freedom, from letting go of the need to be seen, and instead choosing to live for herself. The key to Jane's transformation was the whatever mindset. This isn't about apathy or indifference. The whatever mindset is not about not caring. It's about freedom. It's about refusing to let the opinions of others dictate your worth, your self-esteem, or your happiness. It's about choosing to live for your own truth, regardless of what anyone else thinks or says. It's about understanding that your value isn't up for debate. It's not about the praise you get or the applause you receive. It's about the quiet knowing that you are enough no matter what. Imagine living a life where your sense of self isn't constantly shifting based on what others say about you. Imagine standing firm in your truth, not swayed by the opinions of others, but grounded in the belief that you are worthy simply because you exist. The whatever mindset allows you to do just that. It helps you to break free from the exhausting cycle of seeking approval, from the unending chase for recognition, and gives you the freedom to live for yourself. We all know the feeling of desperately seeking someone's approval. We send the perfect email or wear the perfect outfit or post the perfect picture, all in the hopes of receiving that coveted validation. We long for someone to tell us that we are enough, that we matter. But when we tie our sense of worth to these fleeting moments of approval, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. The truth is, no one person's opinion can define us. No amount of praise can fill the void we feel when we don't believe in ourselves first. Here's the painful reality. External validation is like quicksand. The more you struggle to get approval, the deeper you sink. The more you try to prove yourself, the more you lose sight of who you truly are. You can spend your life trying to appease others only to end up feeling empty because you've neglected the one opinion that truly matters, the opinion you have of yourself. But when you let go of the need for external validation, you step into your own power. You begin to live for yourself, not for others. You make choices that align with your inner truth, not based on the expectations of those around you. And here's the secret when you live for yourself. When you let go of the need for validation, the world starts to see you more clearly. Because you're no longer chasing their approval, you're standing firm in your authenticity. And that authenticity is magnetic. The whatever mindset allows you to trust that you are enough without the need to prove it to anyone else. It's about embracing your own uniqueness and celebrating who you are without apologies. It's about letting go of the idea that you need to be perfect to be loved or accepted. You are worthy simply because you exist. It's easy to say, "I don't care what others think," but living it is another story. Letting go of the need for external validation takes courage. It requires trusting yourself, your instincts, and your worth. It means stepping out of the shadow of others' opinions and into the light of your own truth. It's about freedom. Freedom from the approval of others, freedom from the weight of expectation, and freedom to live authentically. Consider this. When was the last time you felt at peace with yourself, not because someone else told you you were good enough, but because you simply knew it? When was the last time you lived for your own truth without needing to please anyone else? That peace, that sense of freedom, is what the whatever mindset offers. It's not about rejecting others or becoming indifferent to their opinions. It's about embracing your own worth and living in alignment with your true self. In Buddhism, there's a teaching that reflects this exact mindset. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This teaching reminds us that our worth does not depend on others. It begins with us. When we stop seeking validation from outside sources, we begin to love ourselves as we are, not for what others think of us, but for who we truly are. Next time you find yourself craving validation, remind yourself of this. You are enough. Your worth is not defined by anyone's approval. Your value is inherent, and it is not up for negotiation. The whatever mindset is about trusting that no matter what happens, no matter who approves or disapproves, you are worthy. So let go. Let go of the need to seek approval and let yourself be. Live for yourself, for your truth, and watch as your life transforms. When you stop, the mind at times can feel like a storm, wild, unpredictable, overwhelming. One moment we're at peace, and the next we're swept away by a torrent of thoughts. And in this endless ebb and flow of mental noise, we often make the most dangerous mistake of all. We mistake our thoughts for truth. We believe that the thoughts racing through our minds define us. We latch onto them as if they are immutable facts. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. I can't do this. But these thoughts aren't truth. They're just thoughts passing clouds in the vast sky of our consciousness. How many times have you caught yourself believing something negative about yourself? Something fleeting, something you couldn't even fully pinpoint, and let it define your day, your mood, or even your life. You hear that inner voice telling you that you're not enough, and suddenly you become that thought. You take it in as if it's the essence of who you are. But the truth is, you are not your thoughts. You are not the fleeting voices in your head. You are not the constant judgments, the harsh criticisms, the doubts that come and go like waves crashing onto a beach. You are the observer. You are the space between the waves. You are the stillness, the awareness that witnesses the storm without becoming swept up in it. And this realization that you are not your thoughts can be one of the most liberating truths you'll ever experience. When you learn to detach from your thoughts, to simply observe them without attaching to them, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. No longer do you have to fall victim to the negative self-talk that tries to convince you of your inadequacy. No longer do you have to let your mind drag you into the trenches of doubt and fear. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that watches them pass. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. This teaching reminds us that our thoughts shape our reality, but it doesn't mean that we are our thoughts. It means that we have the power to change our thoughts, to observe them and choose which ones to believe. The key is understanding that we are not slaves to our minds. We can witness our thoughts without letting them control us. Consider for a moment the power of mindfulness, the practice of noticing without judgment. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to separate yourself from your thoughts. Instead of becoming entangled in them, instead of getting lost in the narrative they try to weave you, stand back. You watch them come and go. They are like clouds passing through the sky, appearing and fading, but they do not control the sky. The sky remains vast, endless, unchanged. You are the sky. Your thoughts are the clouds. Imagine a person standing at the edge of a calm ocean. Waves rise, crash, and fall. But the ocean beneath those waves remains unshaken, still expansive. Your thoughts are like those waves, some big, some small, some gentle, others more forceful. But beneath the surface you are still. You are unshaken. The waves rise and fall, but they do not define the ocean. You are the ocean. When you begin to practice mindfulness, you'll notice that instead of reacting immediately to every thought, you start to observe it. You step back, and from this vantage point, you begin to realize something powerful. You don't have to act on every thought. You don't have to believe every narrative your mind tells you. You don't have to let every fleeting idea, fear, or judgment dictate your actions or emotions. Mindfulness teaches us that we don't have to be our thoughts. Instead of seeing a thought as a command, we must obey. We learn to observe it with curiosity, with compassion, and then let it pass. When we begin to detach from our thoughts, we begin to regain control over our emotional lives. We stop being dragged by the tide of negativity and instead begin to float in the stillness beneath. Let's take a moment now to practice this. The next time you find yourself caught in negative thinking, pause. Just stop. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath, slowly, deeply, and allow your body to relax. Let the breath ground you in the present moment. Now notice the thoughts swirling in your mind. Are they filled with doubt, fear, anxiety? Whatever they are, simply notice them. Don't engage with them. Don't fight them or try to push them away. Just observe them like clouds floating across a vast sky. See them for what they are, thoughts that come and go, but not who you are. In that moment, when you simply observe your thoughts, without reacting, you are free. You are no longer caught in the web of negativity. You are no longer trapped by the judgments of your mind. You are the sky, and your thoughts are the clouds they come. But they do not stay forever. They do not control you. This shift from being controlled by your thoughts to observing them with compassion is where true freedom lies. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts, and that gives you the space to choose how you respond. You can choose peace, stillness, and calm, even in the midst of a storm. And this isn't just a fleeting moment of relief. The more you practice this, the more you cultivate a mindset of awareness and clarity. The more you detach from your thoughts, the more you come to understand that they are not absolute truths. They are transient, impermanent, and sometimes completely irrational. As you deepen this practice, you'll find that the emotional grip of negativity loosens. The storm will still come, but it won't drown you. Let me offer you a simple yet powerful tool to help you start this journey. The next time you catch yourself in a negative thought loop, say to yourself, "I am not my thoughts. I am the observer." Say it quietly, slowly, with conviction. It's a reminder that you are not the storm. You are the sky that holds it. Another technique is to practice the art of noticing without judgment. Whenever a thought arises, whether positive or negative, simply observe it. Say to yourself, "Ah, there's that thought." You don't need to engage with it, analyze it, or let it dictate your emotions. Just notice it and let it go. Over time, this practice becomes second nature. You no longer feel the need to react to every thought. Instead, you simply observe, release, and return to the present moment. The more you practice this, the clearer you become. The more you separate yourself from your thoughts, the more you step into your power. You stop believing everything your mind tells you, and instead, you start listening to your true self, the stillness beneath the surface. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the one who sees them but doesn't have to be consumed by them. In the quiet space between your thoughts, there is peace. In the distance between the waves, there is stillness. And that stillness, that peace, is your true nature. It is who you are beneath the clouds. It is who you are beneath the thoughts. You are the sky. You are the ocean. Uncertainty. It's the one thing that we all fear, yet it's the one thing that shapes our lives more profoundly than anything else. We fear the unknown, the groundlessness that lies beneath the smooth surface of our plans and expectations. We want the comfort of a solid foundation, a clear path, a roadmap to guide us safely through the murky waters of life. But what if just for a moment we shifted our perspective? What if we allowed ourselves to see that this very fear, this discomfort in the unknown, might actually be the doorway to transformation? We've all experienced it, haven't we? That feeling of standing at the edge of something unknown, unsure, whether to take the leap or stay firmly planted on familiar ground. It might be a career change, a move to a new city, a shift in relationships. The fear of uncertainty grips us. It whispers in our ear, telling us that the unknown is dangerous, that it's a void, a place where everything we've worked for could crumble. And so we hesitate. We cling to the comfort of what we know, the familiar, even if it no longer serves us. But then there's that other person, the one who steps into the unknown, the one who takes that leap of faith. They might be terrified, but they embrace the uncertainty anyway. They pack their bags, leave behind what's comfortable, and move toward something new, a new city, a new job, a new life. They trust that life will unfold in ways they can't predict, but they believe in the process. And in doing so, they find something incredible. The unknown isn't a void. It's a space for growth. When we stay in the safety of the known, we are stagnant. We are comfortable, yes, but we are not growing. We are not evolving. We are holding on to something that might have once served us, but now it simply holds us back. But when we take that leap, when we embrace groundlessness, when we let go of the need for certainty, we open the door to something entirely new. We step into the unknown with trust, and in that trust, we find the space to transform. Groundlessness is not a curse, it's a blessing. It's the fertile soil in which transformation occurs. Without uncertainty, without that initial sense of falling, there is no room for growth. If everything in life were predictable, if everything were mapped out and secure, there would be no need for faith, no room for adventure, and no chance for change. Think about it. Every significant moment in your life, every true breakthrough, every new chapter has come from uncertainty. Whether it was moving to a new city, changing careers, or choosing to love someone when you weren't sure how it would turn out, it was the uncertainty that pushed you forward. It was the discomfort of not knowing the outcome that forced you to grow, to trust yourself, and to step into a version of yourself you never imagined. A person who embraces uncertainty is someone who learns to dance with life's unpredictable nature. They trust that the universe, life itself, is constantly unfolding in ways that can't always be planned. And it's this trust, this deep-seated belief, that something better, something more expansive awaits them that gives them the courage to keep moving forward. The unknown becomes not something to fear, but something to embrace. As the Buddha once said, we are shaped by our thoughts, we become what we think. When the mind is pure, joy follows like a shadow that never leaves. This teaching echoes a powerful truth. Our perspective shapes our experience. If we fear the unknown, we live in a world of limitation. But if we embrace it with openness and trust, we become the architects of our transformation. The unknown is not a threat, it is the very soil from which our greatest growth arises. Let me share a story with you. There's a woman I know, let's call her Sarah. For years she worked in a stable job, a job that paid well and provided security. She had built a life around it, her home, her relationships, her routines. But deep down, Sarah always felt that there was more to life than what she was experiencing. She had dreams of starting her own business, of living somewhere more connected to nature. But the fear of leaving her secure life behind held her back. The fear of uncertainty kept her rooted in the familiar, even though it no longer brought her joy. One day, Sarah reached a breaking point. She realized that she could no longer stay in the comfort of the known. The desire to grow, to explore, to create something meaningful was stronger than the fear of the unknown. So she made the difficult decision to leave her job, sell her house, and move to a different city. She started her own business, something she had always dreamed of but had been too afraid to pursue. And in the beginning, yes, it was scary. The ground beneath her felt shaky. The uncertainty was palpable, but over time, Sarah found that the fear didn't consume her. Instead, it pushed her to grow, to learn to trust in the process of life. Her new life was filled with uncertainty, but it was also filled with freedom. She had let go of her need for control, her need for certainty. And in doing so, she created something far more meaningful than she could have ever planned. Sarah discovered that groundlessness wasn't something to fear, it was the very thing that allowed her to flourish. So let's take a moment to reflect on this. What would your life look like if you let go of the need for certainty? What if you stepped into the unknown, trusting that life will unfold as it should, even if you can't predict the outcome? What if instead of holding on to what you know, you allowed yourself to flow with the current of life wherever it takes you? The truth is, life moves in waves, and sometimes we have to ride those waves, even when we don't know where they'll take us. The unknown doesn't have to be a source of fear. It can be a source of possibility, a space where we are free to discover new versions of ourselves, free to create something fresh and meaningful. Groundlessness is the canvas on which transformation is painted. Without it, there is no art. Without the risk of falling, there is no rise. Without stepping into the unknown, there is no growth. You can stay in the safety of the shore, but you will never know the beauty of the ocean if you never set sail. Embrace the unknown. Step into the uncertainty and watch as life moves you in directions you never expected, but always needed. Release your need for certainty and find the strength to trust that the journey itself is the gift. What awaits you in the space of groundlessness is not emptiness, but possibility. In the unknown, you will find yourself. Remember, life is a river constantly flowing forward, and you can either resist the current or flow with it. When you let go of your need for control, you let life take you exactly where you need to go. And often that place is far more beautiful, far more expansive than anything you could have planned. True peace, deep lasting peace, is found in the present moment. Not in the past, which we can never change, nor in the future, which is still unknown. Peace lives here now, in this breath, in this heartbeat. Yet so often we find ourselves caught in the ebb and flow of time, either dwelling on what's already gone, or anxiously awaiting what's yet to come. We lose ourselves in the past and future, missing the precious gift of the present. Have you ever caught yourself trapped in thoughts of what could have been? Maybe you replay an old conversation in your head, wishing you had said something different. Or perhaps you regret a choice you made long ago. You feel the weight of missed opportunities as if the past holds your peace hostage. Or perhaps you spend your waking hours caught in the what-ifs of the future. What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if I miss out? We are so often consumed by what was and what might be that we forget the one moment we truly have, the present. The power of the present is something we tend to overlook. We think peace is something we'll find in the future when everything falls into place, or in the past when things were simpler. But in doing so, we miss the incredible potential of now. The present moment is not just a fleeting second. It is the heartbeat of life itself, a constant, ever-present invitation to experience life in its fullness, to feel it, to truly live it. But we can only do that if we stop chasing time and start living in it. Imagine for a moment you're walking outside. The sun is setting, the air is cool, and the world is quiet. You take each step slowly, fully aware of your surroundings. You hear the rustling of leaves, the distant hum of traffic, the soft sound of your breath. You feel the earth beneath your feet, solid and grounding. In that moment, everything slows down. There is no past to regret, no future to worry about, only this moment unfolding in all its simplicity. This is presence. It doesn't require any grand gestures. no intricate plans, no checklist to tick off. Presence is found in the simplicity of being fully here. It's taking the time to notice the warmth of the sunlight on your skin, to appreciate the beauty in the smallest details, the way the wind sways the trees, or the feeling of your breath filling your lungs. It's in these moments that clarity rises, that peace settles in, and that we reconnect with life's natural flow. So much of our lives are spent rushing. We rush through our days, checking off tasks, trying to get to the next thing, the next milestone, the next goal. We're constantly running towards something, always thinking we need to be somewhere else, somewhere better. But in doing so, we miss the life that's right in front of us. We lose the very moments that would give us joy, peace, and fulfillment. Presence is the antidote to rushing. It invites us to slow down, to pause, to simply be. It is in these pauses, in these moments of stillness, that we find our true power. Because when we are present, we can truly experience what's happening around us and within us. We stop living on autopilot and start living with intention, with awareness, and with full engagement. Next time you feel yourself getting caught in the whirlwind of planning, worrying, or rushing through life, stop. Pause. Take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs, hold it for a moment, and slowly release it. In that breath, you reconnect with the present moment. Ask yourself, what is life asking of me right now? And in that space of stillness, allow yourself to release the need to control it. Let go of the rush, the plans, the expectations. Just be here. It's in this moment that you'll discover how powerful presence truly is. In presence, we find not only peace, but also clarity. We realize that the future, with all its uncertainties, is not something to be feared. It is simply the continuation of the present unfolding as it will. We understand that the past, though it has shaped us, is something we can no longer control. What we control is how we experience this moment, and in this, we find our power. Here's an exercise to ground yourself in the present next time you catch yourself lost in thought, whether it's worry about the future or regret. Over the past, pause and notice what's around you. Bring your attention to your senses. What can you hear, see, smell, feel? Focus on these sensations. Notice how the world continues to move around you, how you are part of this moment. This simple act of tuning into the present moment is the gateway to presence. The more you practice presence, the more you'll notice how much of your stress comes from trying to control things outside of your reach. The more you rush toward the future, the more you neglect the life that is already unfolding around you. When you are truly present, you realize that life is happening now. You don't need to chase it. It's already here. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most connected to yourself, to others, to the world. Those moments likely happened when you were fully present. Maybe it was when you shared a deep conversation with a loved one, when you felt the wind on your face while walking in nature, or when you experienced a quiet moment of solitude. In those moments, you were not rushing toward anything else. You were simply being. Presence is what allows us to truly experience life in all its beauty and complexity. It is what allows us to savor the moments, to appreciate the small details, and to feel connected to the flow of life. When we are present, we are not worrying about what comes next, and we are not living in the shadow of the past. We are simply here in the now. And here's the thing, when we embrace presence, We stop fighting life. We stop resisting what is, and we start to flow with it. We begin to see that the present moment is not something to rush through, but something to be fully embraced. Presence allows us to feel peace, no matter what is happening around us. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." These words are a timeless reminder of the power of now. When we release the need to hold on to the past or chase after an uncertain future, we unlock the full potential of this moment. We come into alignment with life, and in that alignment, we discover a peace that can never be shaken. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the rush of life, remember to pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, what is life asking of me right now? And let go of the need to control it. Trust that in the stillness of the present moment, you will find the peace, the clarity, and the freedom you seek. The power of presence is not in the doing, it's in the being. Let go of the chase. Be here. Be now. And in this moment, you will find your true power, your true peace. You've learned that letting go is not about giving up. It's not about losing, but about surrendering. Surrendering to the natural flow of life. It's about recognizing that there are forces beyond your control forces that will unfold in their own time, no matter how much you try to force them. The real power lies in trusting that what is meant for you will come, and when you stop resisting, life will meet you exactly where you need to be. Letting go means freedom. Freedom from the weight of overthinking. Freedom from emotional baggage that has long been holding you hostage. Freedom from the constant need to control every outcome, every decision, every moment. And in this freedom, you discover something beautiful, your power. It is easy to believe that control is strength. We live in a world that celebrates the power to dominate, to manage, to predict. But the truth is, real strength is found not in the clenching of fists, but in the softening of the heart. Real strength is in releasing, in trusting, and in flowing with life's currents, rather than fighting them. When you let go of the need to control, you stop exhausting yourself against forces that can't be bent. Instead, you open yourself to the wisdom of the present moment, where peace resides. The power of letting go is also the power of acceptance, accepting that life doesn't need to unfold according to your rigid timeline. It's trusting that there is something greater than your individual plans at work. It's recognizing that the moments of waiting, of uncertainty, of not knowing, are not signs of failure, but invitations to grow, to learn, and to deepen your trust in the journey. Letting go is a surrender to the process, a trusting of life's wisdom. The relief of releasing that burden is profound. The moment you stop fighting against the flow, you realize how much energy you've been wasting. Energy you could be using to embrace what's right in front of you. Energy you could be using to find joy, to rest in the simplicity of being, and to trust in the unfolding of your story. And here's the beauty of it all: when you finally let go, you step into your own power. It's not the power of control, but the power of presence. It's the power of trusting the process. It's the power of knowing that everything in its own time will fall into place. So I invite you to take a moment now, in this very space, to release what you cannot control. Allow yourself the freedom of trusting the unknown. In that trust, you will find peace. And in that peace, you will discover your strength. Let go of what you cannot control. Trust the process, and in the stillness you will find your peace. Thank you truly for being here and allowing yourself to explore this journey. It takes courage to let go, to trust the process, and to embrace the unknown.